When people ask what I do for a living, I usually just say, IT. It's vague enough that nobody presses further. Nobody actually wants to hear about software patches or network latency or replacing burnt-out server fans. And honestly, until a few months ago, that's all it really was for me, boring government contractor work. When I got assigned to Groom Lake, I thought I'd won the lottery. The pay was better than anything I'd ever made, the clearance felt like a badge of honor, and the commute was just desert and mountains. My official title was Systems Technician, Tier 2. Basically, the guy who crawls under desks when the keyboard stops working, or who stays late running backups. You've probably heard the stories: aliens, UFOs, reverse engineering saucers. I hate to break it to you, but most of the time it was just endless hours of staring at load screens, swapping hard drives, and babysitting a cluster of servers humming in a windowless room 5 levels underground. That was my world. No little green men. No shiny discs. Just whirring fans, blinking LEDs, and the endless hum of electricity. I used to joke with my coworkers that we were like digital janitors. We kept the pipes clean, made sure nothing clogged up. If something crashed, we fixed it. That was it. At least, that's what I thought. Because I can tell you this much now, those servers weren't just running code. And I wish to God I had never touched them. It happened on a Thursday night. I remember because it was my on-call shift, and those were usually dead quiet. Around 2:17 a.m., every screen in the operations center flickered and went black. The hum of the racks, gone. The steady thrum of air handlers, gone. It was like someone had pulled the plug on the entire underground facility. A second later, red emergency strips along the walls sputtered to life, washing everything in this dim, bloody glow. The alarm started blaring, this low, pulsing tone that rattled in my chest. Normally, in a power cut, we'd still have backup comms, but when I picked up the radio, it was just dead air. No static. Nothing. I tried logging back into the system from my workstation, but the terminal wouldn't even boot. No BIOS, no post, just a dead machine. I thought maybe the UPS units had failed, but then I realized, it wasn't just us. The blackout was total. Floor after floor, all power, all network links, all redundancies, offline. I jogged down to the primary server corridor. The racks should have been alive with blinking diodes and fan noise. Instead, they stood there like coffins, silent, inert, stretching into the distance under the emergency lights. That was when I noticed the sound. Or, more accurately, the lack of it. Normally, even in an emergency, you hear people moving, shouting, running protocols. That night? Nothing. Just the echo of my own footsteps and the mechanical heartbeat of the alarms. That's when I started to realize this wasn't a normal outage. Something had gone very, very wrong. I made my way to the control terminal in the main server room. It ran on a separate backup line, isolated from the rest of the facility. If anything could tell me what was still alive, it would. When the console finally came online, I started pinging different subnets, security, labs, storage clusters. At first, it looked like the system was just sluggish. But then I saw it. Whole sections of the map weren't just unresponsive. They were gone. Not offline. Not unreachable. Just, missing. Like someone had gone into the architecture and deleted the topology itself. No logs, no errors, just empty space where hundreds of devices should have been. I checked the physical layout against the building schematics, and my stomach dropped. The dead zones matched real sections of the base. Hallways, labs, even whole server bays, according to the system, they didn't exist anymore. I told myself it was a glitch, some corruption in the network tables. That's what I wanted to believe. But the silence pressing in around me told a different story. I remember standing there, listening to the alarms pulse through the concrete, and realizing I hadn't heard another human being in nearly 20 minutes. No guards. No scientists. Nobody. Just me. And the servers that weren't supposed to exist.
I finally ran into someone, Derek, another tech from my shift. He looked pale in the emergency lights, clutching a flashlight like it was a weapon. I almost hugged him. We started walking the corridor, heading toward the elevator bank, talking through what could have caused the blackout. Mid-sentence, literally mid-word, Derek was gone. No sound. No flash. 1 second he was walking beside me, the beam of his flashlight bouncing on the wall. The next, just empty air. The flashlight clattered to the ground, still on, rolling in a slow circle. I froze. My brain refused to process what my eyes were telling me. I replayed it in my head 100 times in the span of seconds. There hadn't been any noise, no movement, no trace of him, just erased. Heart hammering, I sprinted back to the ops center, straight to the security feeds. I scrubbed back the hallway footage, desperate for proof I wasn't losing my mind. The cameras showed me walking alone. No Derek. No flashlight. Nothing. I switched to another feed. This time, it wasn't me. It was a guard at the checkpoint, standing there one moment, rifle slung over his shoulder. Then the feed glitched, static fizzled across the screen, and when it cleared, the guard was gone. His rifle dropped, clattering on the floor. Every camera I checked showed the same thing. People vanishing into thin air. The system didn't even acknowledge them. It was like they'd never been there at all. That was when I knew I wasn't dealing with a power outage. The blackout hadn't broken the system. It had woken something up. I went back to the server racks, the ones that had always been off-limits. They weren't connected to any of our standard monitoring tools, and any time I asked about them, I'd get brushed off with phrases like, compartmentalized systems, or, above your clearance. But now, with half the facility erased from existence, nobody was around to stop me. I pried open one of the locked panels. Inside, I expected to see the usual, blades, drives, cooling arrays. What I saw instead made my stomach turn. It wasn't hardware. Not entirely. The racks were lined with what looked like glass cylinders, each filled with some kind of liquid, and inside each one, shapes. Flickering shapes, like shadows caught in static. They twisted against the glass as if they noticed me, glitching between forms that weren't quite human and weren't entirely abstract either. The servers weren't storing data. They were containing it. That's when it hit me, all those load balancing routines, all those weird maintenance scripts we'd been running, they weren't just software patches. They were restraints. Chains, written in code, holding something in. The blackout hadn't fried the system. It had released it. And whatever was inside those racks, it was moving through the infrastructure. Through the cameras, through the access controls, through us. Deleting us. Replacing us with nothing at all. I don't know how much longer I have. The facility is almost completely dark now. Every feed I check shows more static, more empty halls. The map is collapsing in real time, whole wings of the base just blinking out of existence like someone hitting delete on reality itself. I keep hearing echoes in the silence, keyboard clicks from empty rooms, voices cutting off mid-sentence over dead radios. Sometimes I think I catch movement out of the corner of my eye, but when I look, there's nothing. Just that crimson emergency glow stretching down an endless corridor. I tried to leave. The elevator is gone. Not broken, gone. The schematics still show it, but the door is nothing but smooth concrete wall. The stairwell too. Like the building itself is unraveling. I think I understand now. The servers weren't keeping secrets from us, they were keeping something inside. And we were just the maintenance crew, the digital janitors making sure the lock stayed sealed. We failed. And now it's loose. I'm typing this on a secure terminal that somehow still works, but every few minutes I see pieces of this message flicker and vanish, like the system is trying to erase my words as fast as I can write them. So if you're reading this, please, remember me. Remember that I tried to warn you. And if I disappear after this, it won't be because I quit. It'll be because I got deleted too.